Mkhulu samukele nabantu abasha bayala abantu abamnyama siyanamukela samukele nokhehla kuningi siyazi unathi kamoya siyabonga nje ukubona nawe sokubuleme siyabonga kakhulu sibonge nawo amakhehla ashayela iguphu ngoba yibo abasincedisayo in terms of i-ascension before siqala. Siyabonga kakhulu, sibonge nabetende abasibekele itende since Friday besine-event la sibiza i-Coaches Friday. Djehuti, it's a start of beginning of our events that are to come on Fridays, so that we are able to spread the word and give platform to those artists that are not been given the attention by media in general. Remember, when you are outspoken, about anything that has to do with the system, you are then blacklisted. You cannot freely express yourself as an artist. Why? Because there are certain confines that you need to consider. You cannot be critical to either white corporate or the government itself. If you happen to do that, then you are blacklisted, and now we need your message. So we want to create Lelo Kaya, that platform for all artists, who are being suppressed, ukuthi bangakhoni to fully express their own wishes. And remember, ukuthi our struggle has always been carried by artists. In the past, and even now, we still need that voice, Yama artists, to carry the message of the final, or a total liberation. Because man, it's just 5-2. Before everything that was stolen is returned, back to us. So this is not a struggle for abantu abamavaga, those who are afraid of the system. We are justified to demand justice, for ourselves. So nobody should feel guilty they are not able to do that. Which is why Nati, when we were sabotaged by SAPC, bangafuni sifake the content, especially ebantwini abamnyama, so that bazazi ukuthi bangabobani. Before colonization, what were your ancestors doing on the continent, which is very important. And I find that a lot of people want to concentrate on the political history of the continent, and that is not where the value is, because that is a period of slavery. Young, that content, it's useless, to us. All we need, what were we doing before colonizers came to the continent? That is, the value, because we are now touching at the core, the golden era of the continent. This is where we learned about all these principles. Like the principle we're talking about today, Djehuti, 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 Yes, yes, yes. You see, without us touching back to that period before colonization, we wouldn't know, about the principle of Djehuti. Kutiwa, the principle of Djehuti, Djehuti and Ma'at. These are principles that form what is called 3 in 1 and 1 in 3. When you then start with Ra, Ra is the giver of sustenance, is the giver of what is called the ether. By Bizaguti, that's the 5th element, that created everything. Then Ura, Uza, no Ma'at, no Mteto. Remember, Ma'at is the order, that all creation have got to follow. Then Djehuti is the communicator of that order, so that everything Djehuti is associated with this. I don't know whether it's Greek or Roman name, Mercury. Mercury, in terms of astronomy, is the closest planet to the sun. Meaning the wheel of the sun is communicated through that planet. So that is the principle of communication. And when you hear about what is called the Akashic records, the universal memory, he is the guardian of those records. Remember, Guti, everything, everything is about vibrational frequency. So, Ulenduza, Djehuti, he is the principle of the moon, because this is what gives this vibrational frequency. Remember, the sun gives the highest frequency, and that highest frequency is reflected upon the face of the moon. Yingako kutiwa, we are always witnessing new moon, the first crescent and the full moon. Is because of that total reflection. When it reaches the full moon, it's a whole full reflection. But now, remember, when we talk about the African creation story, we talk about the first atom, which is atom. In the African sense, it is called the creative utterance. This is what created the word that commanded all of creation. So that word is Djehuti. And the Djehuti, it's a frequency. It's the controller of all frequencies, because everything that lives on earth was created by frequency. Kutiwa, when you have to look at the formula of how the universe operates, you need to consider energy first. Then you consider frequency. Then you consider vibration. Once you understand and master these things, at least you are getting closer to knowing the laws that govern the universe. Because Djehuti represents that intelligence, the universal intelligence, what gives us ability to communicate to people. We wouldn't be able to communicate without this principle, because this principle is the principle that gives us the ability to communicate. And Djehuti, he is the one who is assisting us in terms of learning new information. Meaning Djehuti should be represented in all schools, of the future, because everything that we learn. Remember, Guti, there's nothing above nature. So if you study nature and understand nature, there's nothing above that. So, meaning Guti, that becomes the superior, knowledge. If you understand, in nature. So therefore, in the schools that we are going to create ourselves, Lendoza, what we promised Kemet University, it has started. People, very soon, in a couple of weeks, will be able to actually enroll to the course, so that we at least understand, what we call the credo mutua philosophy, which is African philosophy. Remember, all these universities and the schools, all we are learning, it is Western philosophy. And that period of Western philosophy is out. We need to prepare ourselves for us to understand and know African philosophy. Because when you know African philosophy, you better understand yourself, and you better understand nature. So there's nothing above that. So what we normally do, that's what we say, encourage abantu to let us all arm ourselves with this knowledge system, because this is the knowledge system of the future. Without this knowledge, we are going to be irrelevant, because nobody wants to know about Einstein and Newton and all these children. You need to understand and know the workings, of the universe, and we are given that by people like Abo Imhotep, Amunhotep, Abo Nefertari, Nefertiti, Hatshepsut, Abo Nzinga here, Abo Mantatise. Those are all the people who were rooted in nature. They were able to defeat the enemy because they understood, in nature. They knew if the enemy comes in this season, this is how we are going to defeat them, because we understand the terrain. So those are people who are still connected to nature. So those are people we need to study now, so that we are able to feed our children, not poison that we are consuming currently. Where you are given, half of information. Remember, Guti, I always say that, Guti, information information because it doesn't give you a comprehensive picture. All Kokobet were mastering the causal plane. They were mastering the principles. For them to understand everything that is manifested physically, you need to understand the causal plane. What caused, Islasa se popo to be? What principles were involved? So Mlungu is not interested in that. Mlungu uti mambo jambo. So meaning then, Uguti, ingane zetu are getting half of what they're supposed to get. Yingako kutiwa ingane yidom esikolweni. Because umoya resists naturally. Ukuthi ungifunza half of what I'm supposed to get. What's the use of me understanding and knowing ubuhle bebanana if I don't understand how a banana came to be? So all Kokobet gave us all that, it's a comprehensive, information and knowledge. So Djehuti, like Bukaziwe, is the principle of Djehuti resonance. Everything vibrates. Everything. Even in nothing stands still. So once you understand the vibrational frequency, and even the vibrational frequency that is emitted by your own body. Remember now, you are vibrating the same, frequency like the whole of Earth. Earth vibrational frequency is 7.83. Your body as well vibrates in that frequency. Meaning where now you are a microcosm of Earth, because everything that happens on Earth happens in your system. Earth is about 70% water. Your body is the same thing. So when we pinda, lomhlaba. Right? If you want to understand F, understand yourself. That's why Okoko was saying, know thyself. Because once you know yourself, you then understand the bigger scheme, of things, then the communication. That's the function, Djehuti. How we communicate. Remember we said, our words create geometrical, shapes. So we create with our words, or we destroy with our words. You must be careful of what you are uttering. You must be careful of what you are saying to your children. Ingane ungakhulumi izinto negative, because that thing ends up in the psyche of a child. That is what creates an inferiority complex amongst the children. The things that they hear at home, all those negative things, the impact emntwaneni for a long time. Umntwana ukhula azi nje ukuthi especially obaba, we must stop ukuthi sibe amabhubesi emakhaya. Ungathi mawungena nje egate bese ingane yoyifihla ngaphansi kombhede. Why? Because when you were raised in that way, it doesn't mean that you must transfer the anger of your father to your children. We don't understand now why your father, was so angry to treat you in that way. So now you need to stop that. Love your children unconditionally. Ingane iba parent, but ungabi yilento ukuthi manje uyasatshwa. Remember ukuthi uthando is the strongest emotion, in our universe. So you've got to express, especially ebantwaneni bakho, because these are the people who are going to carry your legacy. So you need to be careful and be very sensitive. What am I giving? The foundation that I'm giving it to this child, just by perception, ngey'ngane zami. So Djehuti, it is that principle that is responsible. Remember, ukuthi uAnpu has given us the ability to discern. Meaning ukuthi sihlukanise between okuhle nokubi. So that is why kuthiwa we must always be grounded by Ma'at. Ma'at usifundisa iharmony. Ukuthi for anything to prevail, there's got to be harmony. So nathi who are following indlela yomoya, we thrive all the time and intentionally. So wherever we are creating harmony. You are not only making the people that you associate with happy, but you are making yourself happy. Because when you are happy inside, it means the left and the right brain are in harmony. Then lento esithi magic iheka, just comes naturally. Unlike umuntu onamaqhubu, who's forever negative, wherever you are, abantu bayakubalekela because of your negativity. Because once uhlangana nomuntu o negative, automatically your vibrational frequency drops. Now you are in that frequency alabantu. You are then blocking your potential, your ability for you to be able to manifest. Remember, anything before it gets physical, it starts in the mind. Everything is mental. Every building that you see, every car that you see, it all started in the mind. Then again it was put to 2 dimensions. You are transferring it to Sambulelo Seshile, here's a divine inspiration comes, you are now intentionally writing it down. What you are hearing, what your spirit, what your soul, says. Ufaka manje iba 2D. But from there it has got to be 3D, where it is now manifested physically. So it's all the workings of Djehuti. The intellect, isambulelo. Uzobantu, nehlele isambulelo, divine inspiration, ngayifikela ngicabanga ngento eso. It's all coming through Djehuti. It is a frequency. Especially when your pineal gland is decalcified. Our action decalcifies, pineal gland. The other time, the more you remain colonized like Mkhulu, is the more you are imprisoning your ancestors. Remember, the ancestors live through you. And manje, if you haven't reached the higher state, of consciousness, which is enlightenment. Remember, in the emotional, table of emotions, in terms of vibrational frequency, enlightenment is the highest. It's above love, right? Love is the second in terms of a vibrational frequency. So meaning ukuthi kumele siphile ngokuthi silokho sithola knowledge that will uplift us, so that we are always in that enlightenment frequency, because that is the vibrational frequency. Ukwazi nje ukuthi a simple thing, when is the new year on the southern hemisphere? That is enlightenment, because from there you are then to calculate throughout the year I'm going to be forever in resonance with what is above. So manje, if you are not enlightened about that simple, which is a foundation of any person, you will be forever be misaligned. Meaning the natural flow of energy yale, when you hamba nomlungu uyale. So it becomes a source of strife. Besuza lagi mi ayengiloliwe mkhulu. Loyo ba. Uziloye wena self by going against the natural flow of energy on the southern hemisphere. Ignorance yakho, hayi ukuthi these days there are so many people who can claim ignorance. Oh, bengazi. Awuboni ukuthi makufika uSeptember, between August and September, everything starts greening again. You witness that on a daily basis, but you still agree when umlungu says the new year starts on the 1st of January, which is scientifically impossible for a year to begin in January, because if kuya kuphi kuzibandlela, that's the month of maturity. You can't then start the year when everything is matured. So that is logic. So hiyo lento esikhuluma ngayo ukuthi the first thing thina abantu abamnyama need to do is to decolonize the mind. You cannot liberate Africa with a colonized mindset, because we are going to restart a program that was left by white people. That is why you find that Africa suffers from leadership, because leadership doesn't think. They have outsourced their thinking ability. They have even closed the channel of receiving from the Akashic records from Djehuti. Why? Because umoya wabo should be guiding them. As soon as I take over as a leader, the first thing that I need to look at is foundation of my people. Who determines our time? Because whoever determines our time controls our minds. So no other leader on the continent even stopped to think about that. So they just took all that was left by the colonizer, and forced it upon us. Umlungu uthe kuye ngo-December 25, Tina, in Northern Hemisphere, we are celebrating the rebirth of the sun. And they were what happens on the 23rd of December? You are bidding farewell to the sun. Because, on the 23rd, it's closest to Earth. But on that day, it begins the journey to move to the Northern Hemisphere. So this is how twisted we are as African people. Then we wonder, kungani sihlupheka ngale ndlela? Sihlutshwa amadlozi ethu that we intentionally decided to imprison. Why? Because we are driven by material things. I'm telling you, at the end of the year. You do anything possible to achieve that mark. But no mark is a beggar. Is it going to contribute towards liberating the majority of the people who are in starvation? It won't assist. And if Tina, as individual, we happen to take those decisions, how many Africans are we affecting by our own selfish decisions? I know. Nyamuzwa, umkhulu khuluma nge-New Year. Kepha mina I've already made a budget. Ukuthi ngo-December 25, I'm taking everybody. Siyaphi Morea. Siyephakameni. We're not supposed to partake in this thing. That's why you told Abuti, bagqoka amajazi amabomu. Red jackets bajuluka. Ugqoke ijazi lomlungu elibomvu. Ngesikhathi sesama. Ujuda nengane yami ubeke la ekuthangeni lakho. Ulokhu uyancinga nje umjuluko. Foolishness. Hey, this is what we do as African people. Ezinye izinto siziboni mesizenza ukuthi senza ubulima. Because iperiod yethu futhi thina sizenzi lezi zinto lezi. My Father Christmas. I long stop telling umntwana bengumthengeli present. And nakhona ngisathenga present ngo-December. Why? Because I'm enlightened. I know what it means nothing leyo nto ka-December. Especially for us on the Southern Hemisphere. And the person that created calendar, the concept of the calendar, Djehuti. Hey. Djehuti, remember Uguti, who is the timekeeper of a celestial motion. Meaning Uguti, all planets. Remember Uguti, now we planet. You are a star. Yourself. Hey, amithi bokuthi kudala. Uma kushona inkosi siyasibona istar lapha. Sivela bese disappears. Why? Because lo muntu akasekho emhlabeni. So now you are a star which is controlled by this celestial motion by Djehuti. Everything you do, movement yakho is controlled by Djehuti. These are the principles that we need to understand at a much deeper level, because this is what it's at the core of umuntu and everything that has been created. We are all controlled by these vibrational frequencies. So uDjehuti, njengoba sithi, he is the controller of the Akashic records. Ayikho into emhlabeni that has happened and the Djehuti doesn't know. Kufana nawe. Izinto zenzele bumnyameni, in darkness. Djehuti knows them. Yingakho masewushonile angeke udlule uDjehuti angavumanga ukuthi udlulele kumveli nqa. There's the picture there. It tells that full story. Djehuti is waiting there recording the result of that, isilingani ukuthi uthole thina sikhona la. Ilenduza gunpowder, we discovered the gunpowder, but we're using it for our own ceremonies. We didn't have an intention to go and maim people, the whole community. Lenda bayenza lenduzeni in America. In America, bafika lapha bathola njengoba so that they hide the identity of the original people of that place. Remember, before this continent separated, they were one. From North Africa, you could walk to America because they were one, right? It was a landscape. But through the canyon, the Grand Canyon, you can walk from there to North Africa or West Africa. Mali or Nigeria were from America. So the original inhabitants of America are black people. Njengoba sekuthiwa no abantu sabathola lapha ama-Indians. Ama-Indians abuyaphi? Red Indians babuyaphi? Because akekho umuntu obengaphila without us. The Red Indians were birthed by us as well. Because for over years, thousands of years, we're the only people in this whole universe. The whole universe was, occupied by black people. Agusho Tinagusho, science. Kuronuko Rashid. They did that investigation. He went to China, went to Australia, went to Japan, went everywhere. Wherever he digs, he finds a blackness. So much zonke izizwe. Kahle kahle, you own the world. Hey. Kuyofikilanga la bonke labantu when they are now bowing in front of us. Kuzomele babhadale intela. Singapore must stand, the whole world. We own the whole world. And so umuntu okhona must pay rent like it. That time is going to come. Remember, to rule the world. Through this knowledge, don't limit yourself, your ability. You must think of ruling your whole world. Because you were the first to be born. So this whole earth belongs to you. Manjege, you will never get there if you are busy with Western philosophy. Nama degrees are by 10. You've learned Western philosophy, they are useless. You need to learn African philosophy. And the African philosophy teaches you about nature. It's an extension of nature. Masikhuluma ngomvelengane, the creator. You are an extension of that creator. Sikunikeza theory. Memorize. You memorize. In Western philosophy, you memorize for good to pass. In the African sense, back about Islam. In constitution, yes, now it's the same because of this and this and that and that. So that when you look at the tree, Yingako City, Islasha, Usimakate. Islasha communicates all the messages. Isambulel, Mofurton Sambulan. How much I like in a place of Islam? We enjoy umthunzi waso siyehle isambulele. DJ spoke kwangathi uyahlanya lesimbona hugger the tree. Can't you heal? If I not a match and a pencil, have those stones. because they emit, especially zona, the dolorite. Dolorite, but it's melanin. It stores information and it can send information. Meaning, those rockets you can talk to them and ask them, who put you here first? You will hear an answer that says, Djehuti. Remember, Djehuti was not only just a principle, but manifested physically. We will talk about that in our next session. Djehuti created the civilization throughout the whole world. Djehuti will make all these mega structures that aligns the calendar nabantu. Uye owasibekela leya calendar, and leya calendar eyibekela ubani uHetheru umlenze munye. Remember, that's the first principle to be revered, uHetheru. And the message ukuthi uye owasibeletha for 10 months. We were in her belly for 10 months. And they call Allah Penzalo Elang. Manje was Nzalo Elang and was the calendar. You don't know the deeper history. And the Djehuti is the son of Enki. If you understand the Anunnaki, the Sumerian text, you would understand Djehuti. Enki, the scientist. Umtanake Djehuti was developed. Our pyramids at Peru, they were constructed by Djehuti. And the Djehuti who spoke about the word Kemet. When he described the Africans, he described them as the people of Kemu, the people of Kemet. Over 40,000 years ago. Those were ignorant fools, but the word Kemet was brought by the Greeks. Ignorance. Our Greeks were 40 years ago, 40,000 years ago. They were not even a thought in our minds because we gave birth to them. They were not a thought. The stars with the pyramids. That's what we're occupied with. How do we bring a heaven on earth? Meaning Mutilomoya of the great stars, the 3 stars of the Orion belt, how do we get that energy so that Nati, sipase in that energy for spiritual ascension? Kutioma pyramids were constructed for that. Uzobati, these fools, those were burial chambers. Hey man. Go into such, work just to create Djehuti. Never. And remember what the pyramid. This is Djehuti. Who pyramid, such detail can. Pyramid, the great pyramid of Giza, it's at the center of earth. What happens that? Remember, Guti Earth has got a toroidal field, meaning Guti, the energy from the southern part in Uganda to the north. Imagine again a Isakiwo, a structure that is put directly there. How much electricity it receives? So much. Through the ionosphere, which is free electricity. That is why Okokobeti were able to create, my pyramids, Babege, and my obelisk. Our obelisk, you are that we're transmitting. Yes, the electricity from the pyramid, you have obelisk, from obelisk. Nine gadget teaser. Now I'm receiving it from my own home. Great Pyramid is the ESCOM.
Original ESCOM.
Hey. And remember, Buti, the first of those pyramids, it's here in Mpumalanga, next to the calendar. The first pyramids or the oldest pyramids in the world are here. Meaning we have the potential and realign the nature so that amongst us there will be one that will be able to decode why that pyramid was built, so that you save us from these monsters. Abafana Nabo medicine, who destroyed Tesla because Tesla was offering free electricity. Medicine, yes.
Thomas Edison.
Thomas, Edison, yes. He uyeke umuntu sabotage uTesla. Why prove physically technology of our ancestors, because he was studying the pyramids. For him to arrive at that decision, there is free electricity, in the whole universe. But manje, these are evil capitalists. They want us to pay for everything. How do you pay for what? Huh? How do you pay for something that is free? And then manje, nobody stops us from receiving from Djehuti the Akashic records. What instrument and the law? There's this guy in Laos, Zimbabwe. The guy was in Zimbabwe who was powering the television through radio frequencies. Manje sekesondele ake nitholeni phela isolution so that isiphume from this trauma escom forever load shedding. We should rely on the sun, because the electricity is there, already is there, in the universe. All we need is connect and develop a system connect and through frequencies. Because ilanga is the highest frequency in the world. So every other frequency are much grosser. Because man, you say, the more they go down to earth and reaches earth, it's much grosser. If on a vibrational frequency hydrogen is different from a vibrational frequency nitrogen. Nitrogen is much heavier than ilenduza hydrogen. It's because of that. Kepa is the same thing. The only difference is the grossness. Kepa yingakho kuthiwa nitrogen is forever wanting to go back to be hydrogen. Yingakho now you are always longing for ascension. I wish I can ascend, and then see the secrets of the universe. It's because of that. And all of that was taught by Djehuti. Remember, Djehuti gave Uti, meaning I reincarnate into different forms all the time. Djehuti, meseke ehamba eshiya. Wabuya in the image of immortal. Immortal megashiya wabuya in the image of Usamazu. So he feels that. Remember, there's no death. But renewal. Remember, we exist in so many dimensions. Neither I'm also present in Japan. Okhokho bethu yingakho bebethi benza lento astral travel. Ukuthi consciously through your mind you can go and uyovela. So say Japan. Remember, there are stories that we know about ukuthi how Nalikesha belihleli la city liya pass. Kanti is gone. Akasekho nathi umzimba wakho uselela. Kepha yena ubuyena sele America. Abuye make papa masitshela ukuthi hayi uBush, this is what they are planning. Mawuvuka ekseni njalo. How do you explain that? Uzoyimangalela why? Because we are confined by your belief system, thinking that when we are this physical body. You are not this physical body. It's the spirit that decided, to express outwardly. and it is your vibrational frequency. Ebunikezele khala onalo. There's nobody else on the khala because it's your unique vibrational frequency. So, sihlukene kanjalo through our vibrational frequency, which is confirmed by our fingerprint. If fingerprint yami, you can't duplicate it. It's mine alone. Because it has a unique vibrational frequency. So, Djehuti gave us all this knowledge and the foundation. And Djehuti, who you are all the time. Remember, two principles. They operate in all dimensions. Art, no Djehuti. Because everything that is created has to follow the structure and order of art. And the communicator of that order, Djehuti, all the time. Okumbuzayo ukuthi ayaphela. Uyaphambuka manje. So develop igwegwe. Awukuzilule kancane. Bese kuyazilula ke ubuya ke uya-align again back to that structure skama art. Then we are in harmony with nature. We are in harmony with ingakho ngangimangele when they were accusing us of disturbing the birds. But you are disturbing the peace. So therefore you are not allowed to come in this nature. They fail to understand which is going to produce a certain vibrational frequency that makes the bird happy.
Beneficial.
Hey.
To the plant, to the bird.
Everything,
to nature.
Hey. Because if this scope, happen to reach 7.8 hertz, everything yajabula. Plants, yonke into yajabula. Because they are hearing the universal frequency. Manje because of lack of understanding yakho mlungu. Wena usitshela ngomthetho. Ngasabatshela thina sithe asinandaba nomthetho wenyama. Kepha ngeni la sizophasha. Whether niyafuna or nifune ukuphatha siyavela. And sangena. And then akhona i-communication. Remember ukuthi when is it yingakho sithi indlovukazi, they are very important in this last mile. Yibo abantu kumele basiweze. Kuthe kungaphahla indlovukazi lapha enzalweni la. Yonke into yakhumuka. Amaphosa wabona manje ukuthi ayathamba. Even nalabantu laba who were blocking us, they then came to me and said, Mkhulu, let's make a deal. Heart of God. Heart of God. Sekukhulumile of God. They are all over those videos. When they were communicating, zithi mabeze bonke. Now, Kusi descended. The people who were blocking us came to me and said, Mulu, let's make a deal. That's how to write Makasha. You can't make fire. When the Ganjan Blindo Lama shows without umlilo. Look, Maka.
The elements.
Hey. Remember, because there are no other trees but the paper tree. And for the regular, with a certain chemical, and the fumes of that chemical is what kills things. Not just good to say. So much. So, in the years, you next year, next year, that I said, I'm a kid. Lojola amagate avuliwe. They won't put us through the humiliation. And I see humiliation because bega movement at a very high level. Sithe sibuya enzalo. The negativity sayishintsha yaba positive. Wonke umuntu omnyama all over the world, they were now saying, talking and they're articulating about the injustice being perpetrated, to black people in their own land. So the negativity inceda to amplify the voice of liberating our sacred sites. Ngithe siyabona konke amaplazi can follow. We need to liberate the sacred first, because this is where the energy that is going to assist us to be fully liberated. This is where it is. Like the energy at the base of your spine, which is waiting for ascension. You need to raise that energy deliberately. So in these 4 cardinal points, these are energy vortexes. Our ancestors are waiting for us to come and communicate with them regularly, so that they are able to assist us in Sizo experience a magical fall of the Republic of South Africa. Not even won't believe good how. We thought you would sasela. And umoya I want so humble. It's surprising. Oh, we didn't think it would happen this fast. This is how Umoya function. This is how Umoya works. As long as Indotina, okumele siyifunde. Isifundo, the greatest lesson that we need to learn from our ancestors is that we need to be relentless in creating a resonance between Izulu and Mhlanga. Relentless in everything that we do. Yingakho kuthiwa in the philosophy, it's not an intellectual practice. Yapa, you live it as a culture of choice. Ulpila on a daily basis. All that occupies your mind. Last week, is stress reliever as well. When you are stressed, these are the lokuthathu Asawo said here. Uzobona yonke stress yakho siyancibilika. Now you raise your vibrational frequency, because you can't be on that frequency of stress when you are calling these principles. They elevate you automatically into higher states of being. Nisho noma approach your roadblock. These are the lokuthathu. These are the lokuthathu. And they want busy because sebela usuka nje gate kwakho. Kumele ufune indlela ngokamoya ukuthi la ngiyodlula khona kunjani. Ubuza umoya omuzo direct. Uzozwe nje ukuthi hayi nojika la ungayi la namhlanje. Yonke lento ukuthi ngoba izinto ozoyenzakala uzothi ucabanga into yenzakala. Yaqala ngamakhanda okhokho bethu. So that's why ngiyamangala sonke nje wike kahle ile nto le drug abasinikezela sports. Bayazi ukuthi hayi lo bantu laba sabathathela konke saba-introducela isport. Oh no, they are all there on a Saturday. Bakhohliwe to engage on the important matters. Home Stadium too. Wasted the whole day. Ukuyobukela something eginqikayo lapha. Uyongena emaphalini yonke lento le. Mawubuya lapho ukwakile ndoda. Ithini yakho iluzile. Awusenzwela ingane nabantwana ekhaya. Ufika uyabila.
Walking.
Man, umuntu wamelenze. So we go. So these are strategies to keep us distracted so that we don't bother Belu. We are happy to be in a concentration camp. But the concentration camp is next to F&B. I can walk to F&B. Hey, that's our focus as African people. We never engage on serious matters. Are we still in a concentration camp? After 20-something years of the so-called liberation, but wonke umuntu omnyama is still in a concentration camp. Nihamba niyolwela ama-Palestinians le. Nishiya kuma-concentration camps. Sifakwe ilabelungu nineni basebenzayo. Nizenza amaqhawe niyophakamisela Israel ini nonsense. Nisaba nabelungu nalamabhukana eSouth Africa. Bonke they were there. All politicians were there wearing this Palestinian thing. They are even ignorant ukuthi Palestine once belonged to us. In 1925, Palestine was black. Everybody knows that, except politicians. Namagwala ubona sebefake lekhafu zamaPalestine. Hayibo, wena futhi. So please, Makesha, remember ukuthi ulwazi removes you from being a slave. With the knowledge, you will never, don't qualify to be a slave. Hey. So, yingakho kumele sixhumanise noJehuti all the time. Mele sixhumanise mesithi ubaba uCredo was forever downloading. Ubaba uCredo was forever downloading. Because ayikho into bengayazi. You talk science, you talk art, you talk architecture. He was everything about Credo. Yingakho ngithi reincarnation of Djehuti. You know, in the image of Imhotep, yehlela kubani? Kuba Credo. Yingakho bekesi dita kangaka. Sithi baba ukhuluma kepha simuza. Kanti kumele ummamele ngendlebe kamoya. Hey, Ubaba Credo was talking African, purest form of African philosophy. Who are you Anunakis are like us? Don't listen to Mlunga Bonisa Mahoko. Actually, the fallen angels, they are back. Oh, Kokobetu, those are our celestial ancestors. And the first landing port yabo, scientifically proven in Zaloela. When they first landed here on Earth, they landed in Zaloela. The scientific proof to that. And Bafana Nat, they are not different from us. Manje back to so that Mobabona, Uche, Yiho, Yiluane, lazy, they are shape shifting. Remember, Unama reptilians, Unama Anunnaki. These are two different, races. Ama reptilians are pillar through Abelungu because they are evil. They are evil. But pillar through Abelungu, Kepa the Anunnakis live through us. Hey, you can't be created lay above. Remember, Guti, what dominates the heaven? It is carbon. And carbon is black. Ngeke uzalwe le ubuye la emhlabeni umlungu kanjani? and there's a fault in nature that happens.
Yes.
Hey! So Ama Anunnaki can't be anything else but black. Hey! So manje lamafongo ama-reptilians bathi baphila bona kuphi under earth. And uba Credo wasinikeza i-entrance engena la. Hey, he showed us in the hidden history of Africa. If you read that book, Ubabu Credo points, I don't know whether it's one or two of these openings that leads underground. You have to see Ubabu Credo, I motel, I motel, I motel, I motel, I motel, I motel, Djehuti, 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 Credo will never die. And Uba Credo akafana. Ukupenga amadolo. Wherever ekhona ukupenga amadolo, igama lakhe will live forever. Ngoba thina ingane zethu are going to be quoting Uba Credo. What time my father was taught by this person. Now, boys and generation to come will be quoting that name. Because there's no other name on the continent that you can quote except to Sheikh Diop. Sheikh Diop, Uteofilo Bega Part, Lies South Africa, in the southern part of Kemet. Ubabu Credo will live forever in our hearts because azange asinikeze bathini a fishing thing. Ukuthi no, I'm going to pull away this thing and indlela yokudweba umphathi uthi abathi Djehuti inkosi yokudweba kanti alumamelanga umphathi. And because he is the because life yakho manje uyazibona ukuthi hey perfect.
Whatever you do,